Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif, an urban planner, and you're more than welcome to join my big journey of exploring the making of smarter and more livable cities. Please don't forget to follow Urbanistica on the different social media platforms, and also let's connect on LinkedIn. Big thanks to Urbanistica podcast partner AFRI. AFRI is an international engineering and design company providing sustainable solutions in the fields of energy, industry, and infrastructure. Are you ready for a new episode? Let's go for it. I have the pleasure to welcome James Ardinast to Urbanistica podcast. Hey, and welcome, James.
Hello, glad to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, actually. Like the last 3 or 4 weeks, got me a little bit due to the whole situation here in Germany. Also, we got now the hard lockdown again. And the restaurants are closed for almost 6 months now, and we don't have a perspective. But I'm doing okay.
Okay, that's great to hear. So in which city are you based now in Germany?
I'm based in Frankfurt am Main. We have 2 Frankfurts in Germany, so it's Frankfurt am Main.
Yes, and tell me, how is the weather now? Because in Stockholm, what I see from my window, it's like almost in May and it's snowing outside.
Oh, it's snowing? No,
Yes.
it's a bit better here. We also had like 2 weeks ago, it still snowed, but today we have about 20 degrees. The sun is shining. It changes towards the weekend. It gets a bit colder, but it's okay. It's the spring is coming at least.
Awesome. Are you a summer and spring person or more winter?
Both. Actually,
Both.
I like the summer a bit more perhaps, but since I'm also snowboarding and I love the mountains, I also really like the winter. But instead of 4 or 5 months of winter, I could do with 2 or 3 months. That would be.
Yeah, I understand. Well, James, I'm really, really happy to have you on the podcast. So thank you so much for giving your valuable time to record this episode.
Thank you.
And now tell the listeners about you. How would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about your passion?
Yes. As you said, my name is James Ardinast. I was born and raised in Frankfurt. I grew up in a pretty wild and open-minded home. My father is from Israel. My mother is American, although she was born in Germany. My family always was in the restaurant business, although they worked themselves out of that segment. And my grandfather said, as long as he lives, nobody goes back into the restaurant business. He died 2000 and 2002. My brother and I went back into the restaurant business. I studied in the States, in Boston, hospitality administration. Came back in 95. I became a father pretty young in age, with 26. I worked after my studies, although I studied hospitality. I went into advertising and marketing and worked there for 10 years. And then, as I said, in 2002, I opened my own business with my brother, and we started with the restaurants. I love Frankfurt. I love the city. We're a part of the city. We always try to change things in the city. We were also always fascinated of what ways people take to get good food. And this is why we also opened our restaurant in like B and C locations here in Frankfurt, which brought us to the Bahnhofsviertel, which is the red light district. It's a very interesting district of Frankfurt. It's a hard district of Frankfurt, but it also got us into the position where we got the image here that if we have to talk about difficult areas in the city and we need ideas and concepts, talk to James and David, which brought us now into the position that we got more and more into the field of urban development without any history in that place. It's just, I think we have the right gut feeling and we have a pretty good understanding of how cities work. And yeah, now we work on two projects in that field, and that's basically me.
That's awesome. I think it's going to be a really interesting episode, especially talking about urban development. But tell me, why hospitality?
Um, I think it runs through my genes. As I said, my family, my grandfather already did, or my grandparents did restaurants. My parents did it. I grew up in a home with an open door. Everyone was welcomed, and we just love to bring people together. And that's for us. That's the base of hospitality. And we also, when we started in 2002, we saw our brand as a lifestyle brand, and we wanted to do all the different or work in all the different segments that we are interested in, which is music, fashion, food, art, and we did. We had a fashion label. We had a a band. We did art exhibitions and so on. But it always comes down to the food. Whatever we do, it always brings us back to the food. And yeah, so whatever we did always brought us back to the restaurant business.
Yeah. So if what will you say if I ask you about your passion? What you will exactly say?
Um, as I said, my passion is food, people, and what I start realizing more and more, it's cities. It's how cities work. I was always into like trends, in all different aspects. And today I realize that trends are basically developments in the society, and now for me a lot of things, if not all things, are happening in an urban development, and this is like the surrounding where I have the feeling where I can change things. Yeah, I mean, I love music, I love art, as I said, I love sports, but my passion is people, food, and cities.
That's amazing. But tell me, when you started like to shift from hospitality to more city and urban development, were you not afraid that like you don't have so much, let's say, practical experience? You didn't study. Like, how was the feeling?
Um, the funny thing is, it's a feeling. So since I have a feeling, that I that or we, because I'm not acting alone, it's my brother, and especially in the projects they go in the direction of urban development. Jonathan, which is a partner, or Citizen Fi, which is a company in another project. I have a team that I can exchange with, and that helps me, or that helps us to position ourselves. But no, I never try to be anxious of things, and I learned to hear on my gut feeling, and that is pretty strong at the moment. And the funny thing is, last year through friends, I met Ramon, which you had the podcast. I think it was last week, and our friends told us, you guys have to meet, I mean, you will understand each other and stuff like that. And he has the background, which I didn't realize when I met him. So I wasn't anxious, to talk to him about all my ideas and everything we do. And we I think we spent 3 days together, and it was amazing. And just after that, I understood what he's doing, what he's really doing, you know, what he's into and stuff like that. So no, I mean, I have respect for it, you know. So I know that it's such a big topic and stuff like that, but I'm not anxious. And we just try to build also like platforms to bring the people together, to talk about this and to find perhaps solutions and ways to make things better.
Mm. What does James bring to urban development field? Like from hospitality, from your experience, what do you bring to the other field?
The understanding what people need, um, the understanding how to bring people together, um, the experience of creating and designing spaces and places, the understanding also of the dynamics that groups bring. Um, yeah, basically, and I don't know if I said it, but also like the good understanding of what people need and want.
Yeah, yeah. I'm super curious now, actually, James, to see what are you working with, like within urban planning. Can you like share with us one or two of your interesting projects that you
Yes,
work with?
totally. One project is called SOUP, and it stands for Shaping Our Urban Future. A future written with a P and an H, which comes from the street culture, which I grew up with. Um, and basically, that is a platform or a convention format that we gonna realize here in September, to talk about all the chances, the opportunities, but also the challenges we have in a city of in the city of Frankfurt. Because I mean, globalizing is a big topic at the moment, you know, and cities worldwide have to deal with similar challenges. And the idea is also not to have this convention happening once a year, but also within the year, you know, create like a team that works with the city on like blueprints that can be used also perhaps in other cities, but also bring other cities and ideas from other cities to Frankfurt. And yeah, this is also the platform where the After COVID festival is going to happen as a part of it.
Yeah. And when you do this kind of project, like it's about people, teams, different disciplines, is it easy to get them on board, or how is it? Like, is it easy for you?
At the moment, yes, it's easier than we thought of, you know, but we the good thing is also that we have a pretty strong network. So in the different parts, we have like major players and stakeholders. So and that helps us like to expand the network. And once you have certain people on board, you know, it's much easier than to get the others on board as well. So yeah, it works pretty well at the moment. I have to say, Ramon is a perfect um, man, like to discuss also those things and to get feedbacks, and he helps us a lot, I have to say. And the other project, the company is called Urban Tribes, and there we have a project that is called Mamash, which in Hebrew means like really, yes, now. The idea there is to bring like the idea of a kibbutz to a city, like to create hubs where you have housing, working, living, like education, entertainment, and to build communities around that, you know, that also like and then you can customize basically your life in a way that you would like to see it.
But is it going to be like buildings or like a part of the city? How big is the
In the
scale are we
beginning,
talking
it's going to
about?
be buildings. The idea is to create like buildings that include all those different segments, and again, create spaces and places to bring people together, um, um, to live together, to work together, to have fun together, but also to talk together about what we can do as a community to make Frankfurt a better place.
Or what I see now from the social point of view, it's very like we gain a lot. How about the economical point of view? Because we need investors in order to make this happen, right?
Yes, we definitely need investors, but as we can also see now, for example, in a city like Frankfurt, and we have a really strong hospitality scene. We have a lot of hotels, but the business is changing. So we also going to have the challenge that we have in the next 3 or 4 years, we have another, I think, 6,000 hotel rooms planned, and they were planned before COVID. So we also going to have the challenge that we're going to have buildings that were planned to be hotels, but perhaps they can't be hotels. So our idea is also to get together with these people, and there we talk about investments, but also about us bringing perhaps ideas to help them to change their basic concept and to make things happen. But we also like in an exchange with the city of Frankfurt, and there you have the possibility or the drive to change things in the city, and they have money for that. They offer money for good ideas and stuff like that. So yeah, we try to find now like a new infrastructure that helps us realizing all these ideas. But also there, we started now going out with a pitch deck, talking to people, and we see how interested the people are because a lot of people feel that things are changing and they understand that they have to change something, but in a lot of cases, they don't know how or what is happening at the moment. So yeah, it's also a lot about like talking and communicating to see how we can bring ideas, people, money, investors, everything together to get the things realized.
Yeah. Now you're talking about change and the future. So if let's talk after COVID city. So if I ask you what is your recipe to make our cities more vibrant, and let's focus on the downtowns, like the culture of eating, real estate, art. What do you think? What is your, how to say, elements or aspect or points that make a vibrant city?
Yes, I think the first thing, and this is what I also tried to explain earlier, I think the first thing is that we have to understand that a city is a cosmo, it's a whole. It's not like fragmented parts that just live aside. And once we understand that, we have to understand the needs and the challenges and also the opportunities that we have at the moment. And it's also, I think we have to understand that globalization also means global responsibility. And the pandemic shows us a lot of things that we knew before, and but there we had so many excuses not to change those things. And what we also see now, also here in Frankfurt, that with all this global focus that we had, that a lot of cities, or at least like a lot of areas in cities, are built around tourists and not around the locals anymore. And I think one of the most important things is to break up those monocultures. those areas where you can just do shopping, or you can just have like hundreds of cheap restaurants and I don't know what, and to bring more diversity into the city to make it more livable. And there we need everything what you said, it's the restaurants, it's the culture, it's the retail, it's the hospitality, but it's also, in these areas, we also have to think about the people that live there, that work there. And this is the big challenge. How to do that? We have to see, this, I think, needs a lot of talking. I mean, we have ideas, but at the end, again, we have to create a vibe, a feeling that makes this city livable, and that helps us also to get over the pandemic challenges, but also all the challenges that we have to focus on that gonna come in the future.
Mm-hmm. But who's responsible, James, for this transformation? I know, like, you have ideas. Let's say people would love to do the change, but who else should be part of this journey?
I think we all have to be part of the journey, and what the politicians have to understand is that urban development, city development can't be like a top to bottom approach anymore. It has to be a bottom up approach. And this is also the idea that we try to follow with SOUP. We want to make it really inclusive. We want to bring the population of a city also like on panels to talk to the politicians. Yeah, it's everyone. It's everyone, and everyone. I mean, at the moment, what we also see, it's easy to complain about things. It's much harder to change things. So I think we have to bring everyone to the table. It's the real estate people, politicians of a city, the people that make the culture of a city, and the people that live in the city.
So tell me, what are our the biggest challenges that we are facing in order to change? Is it like a question of money, collaboration, rules? What do you think in your city?
In my city, I think in the first place, it's a question of collaboration. Because as we see also, even now during the pandemic, there's a lot of money. It's not always there where we need it.
But there is.
But there is the money. The money is there. And what is happening now also, and this is also, I think, really interesting, that through the changes that have to happen, and also through the needs of the consumers, the people that earn the money start to understand that it's not about what we offer, it's about understanding the needs, then create, what we offer, and with the money, part of the money at least has to go back into the cities, into the society, into doing better things. But it's about collaboration, it's about communication. And then we find the ways, we find the money, we find the concepts, the ideas.
So for you, it's very important that listen to people, where is the attention of people, and then build the business case after the attention, not build a business case and wait for people to join.
I think that changed. Exactly. Yeah. We come out of a economy where a product was built and then the demand was created, and I think today the really successful ideas are the ideas that understand the needs and the demand and create the product around that. And I think this is also how we have to create cities.
So what you see now, people are more willing to have a mixed use or mixed functional area rather than like a park, a shopping mall, places to live.
Yes, definitely. I mean, yes, they definitely understand. I mean, at the moment, we can travel a lot. So more or less the last 6, 7, 8 months I spent in Frankfurt. But here in Frankfurt, we have that, you know, it's a big shopping street. It used to be like one of the biggest in Europe. I don't know if it is like that today. But with the pandemic, it's dead. You know, the whole ground floor, like 50% of the ground floor is empty because the retailers went bankrupt. And you don't have anything else there that brings people. But it's the main part of the city in Frankfurt. So there, the city, the retailers, the investors, the real estate people, they all start to understand that we have to change how we develop or how we think about streets like that or areas like that. So yeah, I think, and this is just the beginning. So the understanding is there.
Yeah. Do you think we are going to co-create and collaborate like soon in the future, or it will take us years until we really get this in our DNA?
I think it will take years until we get it into the DNA. You know, if you have it in the DNA, then it's totally natural. So
Yeah.
it's just happening, you know, we don't have to think about it anymore.
Exactly.
But I'm pretty sure that that we start now to collaborate, to come together, to talk about it. I mean, here in Frankfurt, it's happening. And it's happening in Frankfurt. It's also happening in other cities. This is also what I understand from Ramon. And this is what is so interesting about the After COVID Festival again. You know, it's not about one city. It's about the perspective of different cities, bringing them together, you know, and thinking together about finding solutions. So if we don't start now with it, and we should have started already years ago. So, and if we don't start now, it's not going to happen. And then we have really, yeah, it's not going to be a bright future.
And that's why we are also having this conversation. So you inspire us, inspire the listeners that it's time. It's the absolutely perfect time, like now or never.
Totally. It's really, it's now or never. And also, you know, also due to digitalization and the infrastructures that we have today, we have the ability to change things. You know, we have the possibilities to get attention. Yeah, and the kids showed us that already the years before. You know, Fridays for Future and whatever. You know, they showed us that the time is now. Back then, everyone said, so go back to school. And I think now we start understanding that the time is overdue. So
yeah. So what I understand from you is that we have the tools, we have there is the money, we have the resources. It's just a question of the mindset and how or to collaborate. The collaboration. It's only the challenge for us.
Yes. Because I think that the economy, the system is changing as well. It's about opportunities, and the opportunities, they lie in the cities at the moment, you know, and they lie in finding solutions, how we're going to live in the future. This again brings the opportunities to earn money. And if there's the opportunity to earn money, there's always also the way to bring the money. So yes, totally.
Yeah. So tell us, James, tell us more about the After COVID City Festival. What is it about? What's the aim of it? And also, what are you going to contribute with during the festival?
Yes, After COVID City. The idea was founded by Ramon, and it's basically to bring cities together for 2 or 3 days, to exchange the experiences, the ideas, in order to find solutions. And at the end, I think at the moment it's three cities that are involved, and every city should come out with a manifesto, you know, that has the ideas that helps the cities to overcome the challenges of this pandemic. That's the basic idea.
Who can join? Who can join this manifesto and be part of the festival?
The thing is that it's a hybrid event. So the idea is to bring in the cities, to bring people together, you know, for those 2 or 3 days. But on the other hand, also to have the streamings into the other cities to spend the time together. So you have speakers in Barcelona, for example, that we hear here in Frankfurt. On the other hand, we bring speakers here in Frankfurt that are streamed to the other cities. And online, everyone can join. Due to the pandemic and due to the limited amount of people that we can bring together in an analog world, it's by invitation. But basically, as I understood it, and this is also the approach we tried to find in Frankfurt, it's bringing all kinds of people together from all different areas, you know, and all different backgrounds, to get like a broad overview of the ideas.
Yeah. What will you have for activities, or what will you do during the festival?
Our part is to talk about the vibrant city. So we're gonna bring people from the nightclub scene. We're gonna bring people like politicians from the city that are responsible for the economic parts of the city, but also for culture and science. Yeah, we're gonna have I think 2 panels that we're gonna set up. Exactly, but we also organize the whole event here in Frankfurt. We're still looking for the right location, but the idea is perhaps to take a hotel, you know, to have like 20 to 30 people, bring to the hotel, like spend with them really like day and night, like to create this community, to create a special vibe, to bring the people into the right mood. Yes, and then we're gonna see where it's gonna take us.
That's amazing. I'm really looking forward to this festival because, as you mentioned, there will be so many different people from different fields joining, and I think the magic will be there.
Yes, and I think this is what makes it really interesting, that people from the different fields come together, and this will create like a unique dynamic. I'm really interested to see, you know, the different manifestos that are going to be worked out. If they're basically going to be like, you know, same, or if they going to be like totally different. Although I think they probably go in a similar direction. But also like the interaction between the cities is going to be interesting, and have the exchange there, and to hear, you know, the ideas from other cities.
Yeah, James, because you like on your daily basis, you meet different people from different backgrounds and fields, and then talking about urban planning and doing project on urban development. Some people say it's a kind of useless. You talk with people from different backgrounds, then you will not get something like practical or concrete. What is your reflection about this?
No, I have to say that my experiences are totally different. I mean, Frankfurt is a pretty small city, you know, and we have short ways, so everyone knows everyone, and the different networks, they overlap. So perhaps it's a bit easier in a city like Frankfurt. But whenever people get together to talk about, you know, how we can improve the situation of the city, we always have good ideas, but not just the ideas, it's put also into action. So my experience is pretty positive with all these people bringing together, you know, because you have also this patriotism, and the people love their city, and everyone is interested in improving like the situation in the city. So it works. For us, it works. We have a couple also of projects with the city of Frankfurt. For example, 2 years ago, we pitched an idea for an open air museum. Like to use the city as an open art space. One hand to give like local artists the space, but also like on a national and international level. So on the one hand, you make the city nicer for people who live here, but on the other hand, it's also an incentive for national and international people to come to Frankfurt to see what is happening here. And this is supported money-wise by the city. We talk with a lot of real estate people or real estate owners. They're open for that. And I think this is a pretty good and practical example of how things can work in that direction.
Exactly, because in the end, talking is not enough. It's about doing.
Yes.
That's how you transform like the talk to action. And then all these meetings are useful.
We're pretty big in talking, all of us, also during the last years. And talking recently, as I said before, also went more and more into complaining. Like we all know what is not
yeah.
Everyone is an expert. This is not working. Oh, look how we did that, and we can do this. I can do much here. But as you said, like talking is easy. If you have ideas how to do things better, or if you understand, or if you feel that something is not right, then you probably have an idea how it can be done better. Let's talk about it. So now is the time definitely to still continue talking, but we also have to find the ways how to get into action.
Yeah, and this is also like I always tell some of my listeners who are in contact with me, I tell, okay, listening to the podcast or to a webinar, fine, but the main question is how are you going to transform this to an action in your like daily basis or like in your work and so on. So this is very important, like taking action.
This is what basically brought us into that field, that we had a feeling and we went or we walked through cities and we first of all we walk through our city and we see things where we say, oh wait, I would have done that in a different way. Or I look at something and I say, wow, this is so inspiring, or wow, who got that idea? That got us to the position where we said, okay, let's start thinking, what can we do? We're no urban developers. As you said, we don't have the background, but we have a network, we have an understanding, we have ideas, And for example, Jonathan, which we do the Urban Tribes Company with, who is also part of the SOUP, the Shaping Our Urban Future, he comes out of the real estate business. He worked for years for Tishman & Speyer, and he was part of some of the skyscraper projects here in the city, And we started to talk 3 or 4 years ago. I come out of the hospitality segment, he comes out of the real estate segment, but we had similar ideas and we had similar ways of getting there. So we said, let's put our energy together and we built the companies. And this is, as you said, it's about first talking, then putting into action, and then seeing what's happening. And also, I think being open to listen. It's so important to listen at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Do you think that in the future you will leave urban development field and like go back to hospitality because like it's too much headache working with urban development?
To tell you the truth, I, at the moment, I don't see that I'm leaving the hospitality. It's more like expanding our the fields. And I started now to read books in like Bruce Katz and Jan Gehl and,
Yeah.
like
So you started to be nerd. Yeah.
all different kinds, just to back up the feeling that I have a little bit. And Jonathan is even like worse. He's like, I think he wrote like, he read 30 or 35 books last year. He did like studies. But yeah, as I said, so I don't feel that I'm leaving the hospitality, because like the Mamash project that we're doing, the hubs, it has housing, it has, events and stuff. So we're just thinking it in a new way. It's interdisciplinary. That's the thing. And brands have to be interdisciplinary today. You're not just focused like I'm doing food. If we do restaurants, we also think about who are our suppliers, what quality, is it regional, is it sustainable? And once you start thinking about that, you already start expanding. So that's the idea. And from that point of view, the restaurants are going to stay. The urban development is going to be probably going to take more and more part. But at the moment, it just feels the right way, and it feels interesting, and it's really inspiring.
That's amazing. And that's actually why I'm so happy to have you here on the podcast, because this is what we need. Like, especially me, like as an urban planner, we need different people to inspire us to rethink our cities.
Yes, totally. And the problem is, if it's too theoretical, it's like, then you won't get the people you need, because they don't understand what we want or what you want from them. It has to be more practical. And and this is what I find so interesting at the moment, that we have the possibilities, we have the opportunities. And this is why I also love exchanging with Ramon, because he helps me also, as I said before, I have a feeling about something and he brings it into words. And on the other hand, that is interesting when we talk now also about the After COVID Festival, about the production side and what is happening when, if you take the perspective of the event part of it, we always get to the point where he said, "Well, I didn't think of that. It's so good that you guys brought that idea." So it's this exchange, and it's exactly what you said. This brings the dynamic. This is
that's amazing. Well, James, apart from hospitality, urban development, and all the things, all the project that you run, do you have time to do your hobbies?
Yes. Yes. I always, this is what I learned. I'm now self-employed for almost 20 years. I had the time, and I have a family with 2 children. They're big now. The big one is turning 23. The younger one is turning 19 now. But there were the times, where I just had the time, and just in quotation marks, because family. But the rest of my time that I didn't spend with the family, I spent with work. And what I learned is that, first of all, that my work is also my passion. That's one thing. But that I always take my time out myself, and to have my hobbies and stuff like that. The interesting thing now is also, due to the pandemic, that my hobbies are changing. And also through the new focus that I have with the urban planning, I try to experience my city in new ways. I used to live a little bit outside of the city, a really a quiet area. I just moved, so I'm now in the middle of everything. So, and I started hiking during the pandemic. Frankfurt, around Frankfurt, half an hour around Frankfurt, we have like mountains and stuff, and it's really beautiful. So I started hiking. I start now biking. I hardly use my car anymore. You know, it's just standing there. So because my office is just a 10-minute walk from here, like the city center is like an 8-minute walk from here. So so my hobbies at the moment are still snowboarding in the winter. I love it, but it's hiking, it's biking. And the new hobbies are cities, and to understand cities, like to go into that, reading a lot about urban development and stuff like that.
Nice. Reading books, listening to podcasts, like to recap there.
Exactly.
That's amazing. I'm really happy to talk to you, and I will not take so much of your time, and I would love that we finish this great episode by first you give me, the listener, 3 takeaway messages, and we finish with one question to us, to the listeners. You ask us. Let's go with the 3 takeaway messages first.
Okay, the 3 takeaway messages. One is it's basically the why of the Urban Tribe company, and it's evolution. We think evolution is happening now. You know, I mean, it's always happening, but we talked about that before. At the moment, we realize that things are changing. So let's grow together and let's change things. The second thing is that now is the time where we can make a difference. Let's not wait for tomorrow or the day after. Now is the time. And the third message, and I mentioned that also earlier and not just once, is we all have to stop complaining and start changing things. This is, and as you can see, all of these messages go in the direction, I have the urge to change something.
Yeah. And what is your question to us?
The question would be, and this is more out of a perspective of a non-urban developer, you know, but the question for all the non-urban developers out there would be, what can I come to make the city more livable? I think we all have to ask ourselves this question, you know, and sometimes it's just the small things, is how do I interact with my neighbors, the people around me, you know, how do I get from A to B and stuff like that. I think, yes.
Amazing. Good question. Well, James, thank you so much for being here.
Mustafa, thank you so much for having me. I hope I could contribute a little bit, and I love listening to your podcast. Thank you for that. And whenever soup is happening, you're more than invited to come, and let's stay in contact.
Thank you so much. Thank you, James.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. You learned something new and also got inspired by the guest. Don't forget to share the episode on your social media and recommend it to people you think they are really interested in this topic. Thank you so much again for giving your valuable time to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif. Keep up the good work. Keep loving cities.